Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. I just made like a 20-minute time-lapse photo on my phone instead of a video. So now I have to do the whole video over again. Oh, the joys of modern technology. So what I'm doing the video on tonight is kind of an issue around lessons learned and what is taught as far as dealing with a narcissist in a relationship, in a marriage, and also the repercussions of learning those things. So what I'm referring to is, say you have like a narcissist, and you two go to therapy because, like, we'll say you're married. You go to therapy because you're having issues, so it's a no-brainer. And very often, from what I've read and I've experienced, the narcissist will be the one to initiate going to therapy. So you have couples therapy, and you go like to maybe the first session, and you're feeling so hopeful. You're like, this is great. I'm glad we were able to say, what the issue was. I'm glad that my partner initiated going to therapy, because that means they really do love me. They love me so much. They want things fixed. And then you do all this work on yourself. You do your work on like your part of the relationship. And then the next session comes, and the therapist asks you to share, how the week was. And as you think, you realize that like you've been putting in all this work, and the narcissist hasn't done anything. They were on cruise control the whole week. They haven't changed any bad behaviors. They're still just, not catching themselves on any of the problems that have been like identified. And then, you say those, and then when it goes to the narcissist to respond, they see everything you just said as a personal attack on them. So they're probably beet red and angry. And so they will attack back and say, how dare you say that I don't do, XYZ because you don't do ABC. And you know what? You don't do Q, RS and all these other things. And will just launch, just redirect the attention back onto you and just start throwing, grenades. Then when the therapist says, okay, well, that was good. Nice. Thank you so much for responding. Now is your chance to tell us what you thought of the past week. And that's when the narcissist will nitpick and talk about how you didn't do enough on the things you were going to do to make yourself better, and you didn't do enough on the things that you're going to make the relationship better, and just again kind of attack you that way. And then so the narcissist or the therapist is like and then the session ends, and you're basically told to do the same thing again that you were told last week. And this goes on ad nauseum. So I quickly, not quickly, I can't say that at all. I realized with both of the narcissists that I've had in my life that therapy was manipulation. It was a ruse to make me think that they cared, and to make me think that there was going to be change. And in both cases, the narcissist did not change themselves in any way. And in both cases, the narcissist did not change the relationship in any way. And to just clarify, even if this is like towards the end of the relationship and things are like pretty awful, they're awful because that is what the narcissist wants. They want to punish you. They're slowly pushing you out, even if it's on a subconscious level. And depending on the timing, the narcissist might not care, because when they're not, making you miserable, they're flirting with their other person. They're out flirting with people, or maybe even dating behind your back to try to find your replacement. So they don't care that the relationship is just imploding at that point. And so what you learn and what you're taught is to do things like gray rocking so that you don't get triggered, don't get manipulated, don't get sidetracked in conversations with the narcissist, and also to set boundaries with consequences. You have to have consequences or boundaries do not work. And so, for instance, in my case, I know with my ex-girlfriend, the covert narcissist, I had set a self boundary, is what I call them, boundary for myself, where if my partner continued to be the worst girlfriend of all time, that on New Year's Day, I would end the relationship and I'd walk away. And so I gave her a window where she could basically pull her head out of her ass and go back to being a, if not good girlfriend, at least decent, at least a tolerable girlfriend. Alas, she didn't. And even on New Year's night, she was a mannequin, just this emotionless, heartless, no spark, no light, just this like dead husk of a person. And so I ended the relationship. I had to, come down with the consequence, because I know for myself that it was just, not safe and not healthy for me to continue on in that relationship. With my ex-wife, similar situation where I, came to her and I said, you need to stop this behavior. You need to be a mother to your children, and you need to be a wife to your husband. And she told me where I could stick that request. And I knew that was going to be the answer, and so I already had the divorce papers in hand when I confronted her, and I just got in my car and drove straight to the courthouse. But in both of those cases, the only way that I could effectively deal with the narcissist was to have a boundary and a consequence. And so what you learn or are taught is that you cannot deal with a narcissist like you deal with normal human beings. You can't find like win-win solutions to problems. You can't say, hey, let's meet in the middle. You can't say, okay, well, that's really important to you and this is really important to me, so how about we agree to meet each other's needs so that we're both happy and satisfied. You can't say, you have this bad behavior, I'd like you to address it. And, just anything like that. The narcissist will just blow up and it'll turn into an argument and nothing will change. And so the only way to deal with problems in a relationship or even a marriage with a narcissist is boundaries and consequences. And just say, if you do XYZ, I am going to remove myself from the situation. And depending on what that situation is, you may say, I'm going to leave for a day, or I'm going to leave for 3 days, or I'm going to leave for a week, or I'm going to leave forever. And just deal with the, the narcissist almost, the same way you would deal with a toddler, like a 3 or a 4-year-old. Because, again, that's the emotional maturity of the narcissist. And so that's what you learn, sometimes the hard way. That's what you're taught. And I know for myself, that's what I learned. I learned it twice. Both with my malignant narcissist and then my covert narcissist. And so after that, I am very good at identifying red flags, of setting boundaries for myself and consequences. And so now when I'm dating or in a relationship and I see a red flag, I've set a boundary for myself where I say, okay, if I see a red flag, that relationship is not good for me to be in, and so I leave. And so you might say, okay, that's great. The problem is that I'm dating and having relationships with people that may not be narcissists. They may not have BPD or something, or other issues. They may just be normal people. And so there could very well be situations where I see a red flag and I could come to them, talk to them about my concerns and say, hey, I would like to see this changed behavior if you still want us to work out. And they might do it. If they're a healthy person, they might say, okay, well, this relationship's important to me. I will work on changing this behavior. But the thing is, if you set a boundary and then just come down with a consequence, and whether that be leaving for however long or just leaving the relationship, you never have that conversation, and there's no opportunity for change or growth on their end as far as their, input into the relationship. And so you're treating every person after the narcissist as another narcissist or a potential narcissist. And so you might be dating or getting in relationships with perfectly healthy people. You are wired to just, identify red flags immediately. As soon as they pop up, you're just on them. And the problem is that you see that and you just are like, okay, here's the consequence, I'm out. And so kind of the conundrum or the catch-22 I find myself in is a situation where, because of my experiences with my narcissist or being in a relationship with a narcissist, is it because of the toxicity and even the abuse from the narcissist that I'm now, I have so much armor on that I'm now treating every person I date or every relationship I get into as being with a potential narcissist. And so I'm basically, in some respect, I'm punishing these people for what my ex has done. And it's understandable given the trauma that, we've all been through going through a relationship with a narcissist. But then it kind of becomes this question, is like, is it fair to treat and punish people that may be perfectly healthy and really like us and be willing to change and grow with us? Because and it's because of the experiences we had with our exes that we're now like wearing all this armor. And the thing is that I don't expect that armor to come off. I think it'd be dangerous. But then the question becomes, how much armor is appropriate? And what does that armor look like when you're dating? What does that armor look like in a relationship? I don't know. It's just, stuff that I'm trying to figure out myself now. So, anyways, I'd be very interested if people have their own experiences and their own kind of ideas or even solutions to this issue. I could always learn from my viewers. Hopefully this video's been helpful. Thanks.